we have here the Lazy Peon finally shows its gameplay. It is gonna be the new MMORPG coming into the scene. Let's see it.
Yeah, we've had some pretty big news and things seem to be moving quickly for this upcoming MMORPG. On the 19th of May, we got a closed beta announcement trailer showing some new footage, as well as confirming that the Chrono Odyssey closed beta test will be taking place sometime in June. So definitely go sign up.
So the game is actually already live. Let me put this, I got premium. I'm gonna watch this in maximum resolution.
For the playtest via Steam if you haven't done so already.
Okay.
Aside from that, yesterday we got a 20-minute developer interview that revealed a bunch of new information.
Okay.
As well as showing off actual in-game gameplay with UI elements for the very first time. In this video, I'll be breaking down the developer interview and giving my updated thoughts on what's been shown at the end. But first, support the content by listening to today's sponsor, Ragnarok X Next Generation, the officially licensed 3D MMORPG mobile game.
Listen, I love Lazy, but we are on the live stream.
Starting out, we're introduced to the executive producer and one of the product managers. It's said that when they started developing Chrono Odyssey, the goal was to make overall progression just as enjoyable as endgame content. We see a clip of the character select screen which shows the Berserker class.
Oh, there it is, boys. This is what we're gonna play. Berserker. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. Look at this. Chains, blades, twin axes, and battle axe. Obviously, we're gonna go with the big axe.
Specializes in 3 weapon types, the chain blades, twin axes, and battle axe. We're then shown the assassin class, which has access to the saber, wrist blades, and musket. It's said that rather than focusing solely on competitive aspects, the devs wanted players to explore the world seamlessly without loading screens, enjoying things like wandering in the woods, cutting trees, fishing, or grouping up in the open world to fight monsters. The world of Chrono Odyssey isn't your typical fantasy setting. It's an eerie, imposing world that evokes a sense of dread and wonder. The devs drew inspiration from the cosmic horror vibe of Prometheus, as well as the palpable fear of an encroaching threat to humanity similar to the Zerg from StarCraft. The story of Chrono Odyssey unfolds in a world called Cetera, a realm where past and future collide. Here, the very laws of reality come undone as gods, humans, and unknown entities known as the Void come to a head.
Visually, is looking stunning. Not gonna lie.
In the absence of divine order, the boundaries between dimensions collapse, giving rise to war and invasions, and it's this vast scale of chaos and despair that the devs say sets Chrono Odyssey apart from traditional MMORPGs. As the protagonist, you'll stand against formidable foes and travel to both the past and future to alter the fate of Cetera. The developer's goal was to immerse players in an epic narrative.
Nice.
Where they confront forces far beyond their comprehension. Chrono Trigger was another inspiration for Chrono Odyssey in how it used the concept of time to prevent a cataclysmic event. The producer then talks briefly about why they chose Unreal Engine 5 for Chrono Odyssey, and the motivation is primarily that the engine allows them to create the most immersive and realistic worlds for players to explore, whilst also creating dark atmospheric environments. In the footage shown, we see characters traversing the environment via mantling, climbing, and using some kind of ability to hover.
Holy moly!
We see chrono gates, structures which are said to appear man-made, but they're not. And we're also shown some void areas which look like something from a sci-fi horror. Next, the producer talks about how they want players to create their own stories through the adventures and exploration they choose.
Man, this world building is crazy, guys.
Often rely on a fixed main quest line.
So, a lot of people criticize like developers that they use Unreal Engine 5, and the problem is not really the engine. The problem is like what happens is like they pick up like this engine and they do not like pretty much customize almost anything. They use a lot of like default animations and default assets that come like from the Unreal store, and then whenever you compile it together into a game, they all look the same. But you see games, for example, like Expedition 33, probably Chrono's Odyssey, also on Unreal, and you're gonna see like they are vastly different just because like they pick up the engine and they put it and apply their artwork on top of it and becomes like stunning like this. It's absolutely crazy.
Which forces players.
What is coming? The test was now in June. I think it's like on the 24th of June, something like that. I will actually try to play this, man. I feel like it can be extremely fun to play, and if it's like an MMO, and I can play with you guys, and you guys can join as well. I think that could be a fun experience.
To follow the same path. But with Chrono, they took a different approach that allows for more freedom. The Chrono Tector allows players to trace remnants of the past or catch glimpses of the future. With this, players can reveal hidden paths. The game will have a main quest line, but aside from that, players can enjoy a variety of other content whilst leveling, including trials, labyrinths, and field bosses. It's said that players can gain XP through most in-game activities, and it's even possible to reach max level via gathering and crafting a
Listen, this is what mining is. It's not like this bullshit that we got in Diablo Immortal, okay? Like, we go into the stone and we click interact and we get like the scraps on the gold and the ores. Like, what the hell? How is this even immersing, man? I got like so disappointed, like when it comes like to the crafting. It was absolutely a disappointment. Not only the way that interact, I feel like, you know what we should be, in my opinion? I would have done a Charcy mini quest, okay? You go to Charcy, she makes you do a quest that you have to go and learn how to mine. You have to maybe craft some materials to do your mining axe, then you will have your mining axe, then she's gonna teach you how to do the mining, and then, as any game that I played in the past with mining, you have a mining ore, even if it takes like 2 or 3 seconds, I feel like that's so much more immersing than just like go into the ore, click E, and then you get the loot. I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of crazy. Now, the tier list we're going to do slightly later.
Alone, whereas other MMOs haven't always been so friendly to players who enjoy non-combat activities, which is why they built a system where players can progress through both exploration and crafting. In this game, you choose your own playstyle and progress in a way that best suits you. It's said that they've minimized in-game guidance to incentivize players to discover the world for themselves, and on screen we can see the Ranger character sheet and can confirm the Ranger has access to the bow, crossbow, and rapier weapons. Next, the producer talks about how Chrono Odyssey will not force players into the fixed role of tank, healer, or DPS like traditional MMOs. Chrono Odyssey uses an action combat system with parry and dodge mechanics, and is designed in a way that every class can contribute in their own way. It's also said that
so pretty much it's probably gonna be the same or very similar to Diablo. Everyone just goes, you know, attack, and then you have the parry and the dodge, and you can still do the boss. But I really hope that they put like some supportive classes, or maybe even a healer. I feel like whenever I play a MMO, there are people that they love to play supports. And personally, I mean, I usually like to play tanks, but sometimes I also don't mind to play healer or the support. It depends. It depends. It really depends.
Rather than going for traditional large-scale MMO PvP content, Chrono Odyssey aims to deliver a unique PvPvE system that's more small in scale. He says Chrono Odyssey is built for smaller scale play. Initially, they planned on having the Trinity system, but later in development, they realized that for their combat system to work, they'd need hybrid classes. This is done via the game's weapon swapping system, which allows for more flexibility when it comes to playstyle and role.
What do you guys think about the gameplay?
They also acknowledge the importance that tanks and healers are able to play solo, and that players don't always need to be in a party to progress. Combat in Chrono Odyssey revolves around a weapon.
So I hope that you're also going to be able to have multiple specs. And I think that's what he's saying. If you change your weapon, most likely it's also going to change your spec or your abilities. And like that, even if you would like to play a healer or a tank, you're not like stuck into, like, that's actually whenever you play World of Warcraft, that was for many years in a World of Warcraft Classic, one of the most annoying things, because like if you were a tank, every time you wanted to go do PvP or do something else, you actually had to go and spend like 50 gold to go back and forward. It was so annoying. Then like dual spec came, I think, on the Burning Crusade, which was like, or even Wrath of the Chain, like one of those expansions, and like was so liberating, man. It was so much better. But this, I feel like this has to be like something even better, because like this was like freaking like 15 years ago. Like these games absolutely need to try to come up like with better and modern solutions.
swap system, and instead of skill chaining, players are encouraged to switch between 2 weapons during combat to maximize damage output and ability usage. There's a boss early in the game that's intended to show players that weapon switching is necessary due to long skill cooldowns on single weapons. The goal here is that combat in Chrono is easy to learn and hard to master, with each weapon offering a distinct playstyle. Weapon swapping also grants passive buffs. The developers didn't want combat to rely heavily on skill numbers or UI elements, but instead the focus is on learning the attack patterns of enemies, understanding your own combos, and executing them in a way that's similar to that of an action RPG. Rather than creating too many skills, they designed each one to have multiple functions, with some being designed to have situational usage. As for the closed beta test, we can expect the following core gameplay features: single-player content in the form of Chrono Gates and Trials, and party-based content in the form of Expedition Dungeons and...
So this is pretty standard, right? Like it's the same as we have in the in Diablo. You have the campaign, and probably you have like the Trials, which probably is maybe like the challenge rift, and then you have like these dungeons and raid bosses, right? Like that's just how it is.
And region bosses. Single-player...
these games, it seems like it's gonna be a lot like in December. No, I don't think so. And December like it's like way more likely to be like Path of Exile. It is actually an RPG. This feels like much different than that.
Their content requires players to rely on skill and strategy, and are designed to push players to grow stronger and improve their skills. Chrono Gates are one-on-one battles against powerful Void Apostles. Players must learn their attack patterns and respond accordingly. The difficulty of Chrono Gates is supposed to be high, but so are the value of the rewards. Trials are another form of single-player content where players travel across time and space to tackle puzzles, traps, and randomized mechanics, creating a new experience with every run.
A crossbow.
Along the way, expect to refine not only your combat skills, but also your creativity and decision making. As for party-based content, this is designed to emphasize teamwork and strategic coordination. Expedition dungeons are designed for three-player parties, where each player takes on a unique role, making teamwork essential. Unlike large-scale raids found in traditional MMORPGs,
this looks cool, though.
Chrono Odyssey offers a more focused co-op experience that's said to deliver tactical gameplay, even with a small group. When it comes to the region boss content, these are open world bosses that require multiple groups to work together.
I'm gonna be honest, man. Usually, or in most of these games, these world bosses, it's literally always like 20 people clueless of what they are actually doing, trying to hit like this giant boss, dying and respawning and running into the boss and taking like 10 minutes to kill the boss. It is always so funny to see, man.
To take down. In the footage shown, the maximum...
It's not in mobile. No, of course it's not in mobile. Like, you know, mobile games, they are like way more interested in making, you know, pay-to-win games than actually making some great games.
Group size seems to be 5 players, and given that he specifically says multiple groups need to work together, I think this means that you can't make raid groups or groups larger than 5 players. Rewards from region bosses is said to be unique equipment linked to the game's lore, and
man,
the goal behind the design for the game's single-player content...
Holy moly! Look at this bin. There is the fun part. Yeah, no, I'm saying it is funny to see, right? Like even like you go for the first time to these fights and you're like, what the hell is happening? You know, like you absolutely don't know what's happening and you just get smacked.
And it's said to be skill and strategy, and the party-based content is teamwork and coordination. When it comes to exploration content, they divided it into 2 types, player-driven and goal-oriented. The player-driven content, such as labyrinths and time portals, are designed to encourage exploration, and it seems like content you'll stumble across.
I love content like this. I love puzzle content. I love like mini challenge. I love a lot of like these side things that sometimes it's like the same as achievements, right? You're just bored, you don't know what to do. I'm accomplished in this, so I also enjoy to also do these things.
cross out in the world whilst doing other stuff and act as a rewarding distraction. Labyrinths are time rifts filled with puzzles, platforming and traps,
Jumpy, thanks so much.
and reward you with treasure if you make it to the end. Time portals allow you to go back in time and gather rare materials and items. Goal-oriented content comes in the form of bounty hunting. Go to the bounty board, select a bounty, then use your Chrono to track down the target for rewards. The design behind this was to always give players some kind of goal whilst out exploring the world, and during the hunt, players will likely get distracted by other forms of content. For character progression, players can use life skills to gather rare materials and craft high-tier gear that directly impacts their character strength. Players can then make that gear more powerful via enhancements powered by materials earned through combat, exploration, and gathering.
Day 1 and they already have crafting, guys. We needed to wait almost 3 years to have some kind of crafting with caps and multiple things. This is awesome. Awesome. It needs to.
Apparently, there'll be many ways to obtain these materials, so you can progress according to your playstyle. In the footage shown, we can see an enhancement system where a piece of gear becomes +1, and the producer mentions that they've reduced the risks tied to enhancements, so that when progression slows, there'll be other ways to get stronger. To me, this just sounds like the game will have an RNG gear enhancement system similar to other Korean MMOs. It's then emphasized that character
as long as they don't make it pay to win, I'm okay sometimes with the RNG, okay? Like, I am okay with it. As long as it's not always, like, pay to win driven. Whenever it has, like, if Chrono Odyssey comes with a, you know, they present all of these things, and then at the end they say, you know what, you can actually buy these ores and upgrades and all these things on the store, then I'm immediately turned off.
Progression can be progressed in whichever way suits the player, either via combat or life skills. There'll be some way to obtain materials for progression that suit your playstyle, with the non-combat route being a viable path to take in this game if that's what you're into. At the end of the interview, they talk about the goal for the upcoming closed beta test, and it's basically to gather feedback and improve the game, whilst focusing on testing the multiplayer stuff. The game isn't perfectly polished, and post-launch they plan to add new regions, classes, and content that expand the world and deepens exploration. The producer's message to CBT testers is to not just follow the quest line, and it's not a game about moving from one objective to the next in a straight line. So, what are my thoughts on this new info? Well, during the interview there was definitely a lot of buzzwords thrown around, as well as contradictive statements that confused me quite a lot. Early on he spoke about how typical MMOs have a main quest line, which made it sound like Chrono Odyssey won't have one, but later on says there is a main quest line, but players can do other stuff aside from that.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? No. Not every man is the same. No, I'm different, boys. I am different. Everyone else has, no, but we are different, but yeah, we're still gonna have it.
There was a lot of buzzwords like vast, mysterious world, players shape the world, carve out your own path, exploration, uncover an epic narrative, but it seems like a lot of vague marketing talk. Another confusing statement was how there's no traditional roles, but for the expedition dungeon part, he says, players take on unique roles and that player cooperation and teamwork is important for the group content. Yet, in the game's Steam description, it mentions dungeons and raids where if you're strong enough, you'll be able to clear them on your own. So, which one is it? I think the whole...
I feel like maybe it depends on the difficulty or maybe the state that you are in the game. So, if you are, imagine like you and your team are, you know, lower level or lower geared, maybe if you go with a tank, DPS, and healer, it can actually be better because probably you're going to be able to defeat the boss. But if you are in the late game, maybe you can just go the 3 of them as a DPS. You already know the mechanics. You just need to dodge them and you're gonna kill them. Or if you're like super OP, maybe you can even solo the boss at a certain stage. I feel like that's what they meant.
Whole teamwork and strategic cooperation stuff is also just marketing and buzzword talk, and most likely you'll just be able to play whatever you want and have the potential to clear the content, because intuitively, with this kind of action combat system like the one shown in this video, you'll be able to avoid all damage by perfectly timing all of your dodges and by parrying. From the footage shown so far, the game definitely looks to me like a Korean dark fantasy New World, so it makes sense that there's no large-scale PvP content because New World's PvP really starts to fall apart when there's too many players. Large-scale action combat PvP only really works if you take the BDO approach of having tons of AoE damage and iframes, but the combat in Chrono is clearly much more grounded, so I can see why they're focusing more on small scale. Overall, I don't think this interview has made me more or less excited for the game. There was some new stuff that looked pretty cool, but at the same time, some of the combat footage did look a bit clunky. So I guess we'll have to wait for the closed beta test next month to really get a good idea of if this game is any good or not.
Yeah, there are some things that, you know, no matter how much marketing footage you see from the company, obviously, if they are putting here, it is because these are the things that's going to look the best for the game. Whenever you go actually inside a game, then that's really when like everything starts turning on and you start understanding like if this is a game that you really want to play or not.
But that's it for this video. As always, let me know your thoughts on Chrono Odyssey in the comments below, and has this new footage and information changed your opinion on the game? Social media on screen, help us out with a like for the algorithm if you got any value from this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Really nice video from Lazy.